Thanks very much for the opportunity to speak. I'm delighted to be here. And we're talking about setting up a patient advocate organisation, but really I'll maybe tell you a little bit of our story first to put a bit of kind of personal background on it. Our story began in 2011 when my wife, aged 39, was diagnosed with CLL. Before that day, we'd never heard of CLL, but we quickly became aware that this was going to be a problem that we needed to face head on, and that we needed to become educated about. The road to learning about this disease and dealing with it simultaneous was a tricky one and a difficult one. I have been a self-employed furniture manufacturer all of my working life, so this world of learning about cancer and medical science was a way out of my comfort zone. As Jan's disease progressed and became symptomatic, and threw a few curveballs in our direction, ITP, AIHA, low IGs. In fact, 3 years into our journey, she had a misdiagnosis of Richter's. The doctors in Dublin were calling it an evolutionary Richter's when she developed a lymph node in her neck. This went on for 7 weeks. We were told she'd need platinum chemo, she'd need transplant. And thanks to Dr. Patrick Thornton, he sent the lymph node over to Leeds in the UK, where we got a result back that it was only a virus, and panic stations had stopped. But we were going to need support to deal with the psychological aspects as well as up-to-date information. So we took to the internet, and it was there that we made and established connections and relationships with key players in the world of CLL and patient advocacy that today I'm proud and privileged to call friends. As the caregiver in our relationship, although my wife doesn't like that word, that my wife is at home and the caregiver's here, she's minding our 4 children, I felt the weight of responsibility heavily on my shoulders. I wanted to do the right thing and the best thing for Jan and our family. My standing here before you today is a byproduct of that need to take better care of my wife and family. Honestly, an accident of sorts. In our search for better treatment options, we looked to our close geographical neighbour, the UK. Jan was referred to see Professor Hillman by our Irish oncologists, so we made several trips for that purpose. And once we identified the CLL SA as a possible network for support, we attended some UK conferences. We were honestly blown away by the support, the accurate information, how welcomed we were made to feel, and how professionally these information days were managed. From there, a seed of aspiration to do something similar at home in Ireland grew. Of course, as you know, it's one thing to think of an idea and another to put that idea into action. It was a chance meeting with another CLL patient and that friendship that she struck up with Jan that turned it from an idea into action. The ladies recognised the needs of other CLL patients after many hospital trips and long days in the infusion centre. We just wanted to establish a small group of like-minded people to get things moving. Very soon, a few others have come on board, including Daniel Peters, who's here, who does our IT, and has also created an app to help patients track their bloods and diseases and also help doctors. We meet regularly, and though personalities can sometimes clash, the level of commitment by these individuals to our common goal is inspiring. So here we are in the very infancy of our organisation. CLL Ireland has yet to be registered as a charity. Registration costs money, and Pharma can't sponsor an unregistered charity. We are working tirelessly on a fundraiser schedule for next weekend, the 18th of November, to raise the minimal funds to get CLL Ireland registered. After that, Pharma will engage with us. We've already had preliminary meetings with them. A public information day is scheduled for the 11th of March. We are working closely with the Irish Cancer Society to make this happen. Jan's own doctor and the only CLL specialist in Ireland has agreed to speak that day. We are making progress, but it is slow. Our collaboration with the Irish Cancer Society has already made an opportunity to improve things for CLL patients. In fact, the outdated literature that the Irish Cancer Society distributes for CLL, we noticed when we first read it, when Jan was first diagnosed, that when you go through the first page that you look at about CLL, it says that CLL is a good cancer. So we're kind of hoping to get rid of that. We never liked that. Another thing is that when we went to the chapter, which sometimes when you get them books for other cancers and CLL included, you go to the section about how to tell your children. And we went to that section because we have 4 young children at home. And it said that you don't have to worry about this one because you've CLL, your children are all grown up and left the home. Now, my children are 10, at that time were 10, 8, 5 and 2. So I was a little bit worried how I'd go home and tell them they had to leave the house, you know. Thankfully that didn't happen, you know. Ibrutinib and venetoclax and other novel therapies have changed the landscape for CLL treatment. But in Ireland, as in many other countries, access to these treatments is an issue. Jan took part in a trial in Leeds under Professor Hillman. She is 2 years taking ibrutinib now and doing very well. We are still battling with our own health service to fund Jan's participation in that trial. It has been an endless trial of bureaucracy that has yet to reach a conclusion. It's not good enough. Patients in Ireland are being ushered into chemotherapy without FISH testing. It's not good enough. Patients are still not participating in conversations with their doctors about treatment options. Their nausea during chemo is being mismanaged, and those who need IVIG are struggling to access it. They are left unsure and uncertain, drowning in a sea of medical jargon and economic considerations. Not good enough. Due to Ireland's small population, it is estimated that approximately 290 people a year are diagnosed with CLL. It is hard to see how a small charity like CLL Ireland can really be effective, unless it is part of a working network of sister charities. We see the future of CLL Ireland in establishing strong working links with CLL SA and CLL AM. Networking, both virtual and physical, sharing resources, people, information and knowledge sharing will help CLLI get to where it needs to go. Patients need to become their own advocates, which I understand is difficult when feeling sick. But join with a CLL support network is important. Many voices can make changes necessary for better outcomes. Our network has meant we were able to get resource material to help with meetings, and a special thanks to Nick York and Brian Kaufman for this, and the other members of CLAN. Thank you very much for listening.
So are there any questions from anyone in the audience to Michael? There's one down there.
Thank you so much for sharing this. My name is Marina Peed. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, United States. And I was curious, you said that the pharmaceutical companies will not support your efforts unless you're a charity.
I think the difficulty in Ireland is that there has actually, if you Google the news in Ireland on charities, there has been abuse of charities in Ireland. So the rules and regulations have become quite strict. So when we had meetings, we were looking for seed funding to get our organisation off the ground. And they tried hard, but they came back because of the rules in place. They weren't able to. So what happened is we were going to raise the funding ourselves to get the initial setup and registration, and then have our open day. And I'm hoping that the pharma will fund our open day next March.
So I'm guessing, though, because pharma wants to make it as a charitable contribution.
Exactly.
But
yes.
They could also make it as a marketing expense, which comes out of a different part of their budget, and they could help you get your objective
I know where
done.
they are.
Yeah.
I will put that to them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways they can do it, and if they're trying to force one way, but...
Well, I suppose that's the whole point of us doing this and networking. We get to learn off each other what can work, you know. That's...
Yeah,
no, I appreciate that.
They
Thanks.
can step up.
Yes, okay. Well, it's needed, you know.
Are there any other questions? Well, I would actually have a question to you. I mean, you are where you are today with your organization, but if you had a wish, or let's say 3 wishes, as a, let's say, next step to take your organization to the next level, what would that be? Apart from funding, because I understand this is always an issue no matter how big you are. So what are your main wishes?
Well, I actually think that the first vision that we have, and the reason we're doing this, is that when I went to the UK, I think in Cardiff a few years ago, I got to hear Professor Fagan speak about CLL, and it was organised by CLL SA. I wanted to kind of replicate that. That's kind of the first vision, is what they do in the UK is to replicate it in Ireland. It's non-existent in Ireland, absolutely no information given to patients. The second thing is when we actually have our meeting, I'm hoping that other patients with CLL that have different talents can get involved so that we can become a stronger. You know, at the moment we're a working group of 7 that are trying to plan our meetings and things like that. So that's 2. Can't think of a third one at the minute, you know. That's really it, you know.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Michael. Oh, is there one? Sorry, I didn't see that. Sorry, there's one more.
Yes, thank you again for sharing that
Oh, there
story.
you are.
It's
Okay,
really, really
sorry.
powerful. Josie from Australia.
Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, you too. I was wondering, you mentioned an app about tracking blood results.
Yeah,
is that something?
Daniel Peters is here. He actually created the app.
Wow.
I wanted to put it in. I don't know a lot about the app or the working of it, but maybe Daniel could elaborate maybe later on if you get to see him. Am I right, Daniel? It's to track the patient's bloods. And do you want to say a bit about it?
Yes, my name is Daniel Peters.
Your speaker. Use the microphone.
All right, well, I'll sit down then. Yeah, I developed the app during my own treatment for CLL. This app is available now in the app stores because, well, during my treatment it helped me in communicating with the doctors. And initially I got a lot overwhelmed with a lot of questions, appointments, rescheduling appointments, etc. So I used to have a paper diary, but that didn't really work. So the thing that I had always with me was my phone, and I'm a developer myself. So I created this app, and all the way during my treatment, it really helped me communicating with the doctors and communicating with other people about CLL. And at the end of my treatment, I put it in the App Store for people to download. And it's been downloaded quite a bit now, and I get quite good feedback from it. The only thing I have to say, it's really about scheduling appointments, setting reminders for your medication, recording your medical history, creating a support network, setting goals, etc. And this could be used for a different number of chronic diseases. But because I developed it myself, I can adapt it. So I can also add things like blood count in it, or I can adapt it especially for CLL, specifically those type of things that we need, and republish it again.
And what would the name of the app be?
The app is called Treatment Planner.
Thank you, that's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
I come from a software development background myself, and I'm particularly impressed that you managed to put that together while you were doing your treatment. I think that's a fantastic initiative, and well done for that. The one thing I'd like to add to that is that I think over the coming years we are going to find that as patient advocates generally, but specifically in the context of making the case for drug reimbursement, one of the major factors that the payers, and so in the UK, for instance, I'm talking about NICE, one of the major factors that the payers need to take into account is the overall burden of illness that the disease sufferers encounter. And there's a related application. In actual fact, the fact that it's an app isn't really the point. I mean, you can do this with a piece of paper, but with it being an app, it makes it more accessible and generally with you all of the time. But there's a related app, and I'm not sure whether it's yet available in the App Store or not, and I'm sure there'll be somebody in the audience who can update me on this, known as Mpn 10. So this is an application clearly targeted at MPN patients, but the concept is symptom tracking. And the potential power of this app, as well as being a fantastic tool to help patients monitor their own illness and keep track of things and make notes of significant events during their own journey, one of the potential powers is that we begin to build a much wider and systematic picture of illness burden across the whole community. Now, it's not something that the app does automatically. It's something that patients would do voluntarily, would be to submit their symptom data, and this is a kind of a work in progress or a concept at this stage, but the idea of building a database, if you like, or a data set that essentially creates a highly systematic, using a respected methodology. So Mpn 10 is based on a methodology developed by one of our doctors here at the Mayo Clinic. So it's based on a highly respected symptom tracking methodology, and we have the potential for building a very, very kind of reliable global picture of illness burden. And I think this could be an incredibly powerful tool as the patient community essentially argues for reimbursement for these amazingly expensive drugs.
There's one more question down there.
It was less a question, and actually to respond to Jon's comment. So I am Barbara Taylor from Novartis in the UK, and I'm guessing what Jon's referring to is actually Mpn Assistant, which is
Thank you, Barbara.
It's all right. Which is an app that we evolved in the UK. So it's available in the UK App Store, and as Jon said, it's currently doesn't push any data out from the app, and part of that is because when we're directly involved in it, there's some, challenges around, industry potential access to data or what have you. So, there's a further kind of concept development that may follow. But it's Mpn Assistant. It's available in the UK, but and I know that there's a web-based equivalent that's available globally. But then I think there may yet be more to come.